Hello everybody, Toast Mom here today with the second part for the Dark Souls 2 Beginner's Introduction Guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the menu and UI systems that are in the game because they can be a little bit confusing, they can be a little bit crazy for people who don't know what the heck is going on and you're a beginner, so chances are you probably don't know what the heck is going on. Now, first of all, we'll just start off with the stuff that is immediately on the screen right in front of our eyeballs. Now, you'll notice up here there's a couple bars right up here in the left corner. Now, this one on the top is red, and it kind of looks like a health bar. That is absolutely accurate. This is a health bar. If it goes down to 0, you will die. You want to avoid that. Now, the one on the bottom is a little bit more interesting. This is the stamina bar. Whenever I do anything, if I sprint, well, I'm sprinting right now, you can see it's depleting. If I slash my sword, it depletes. If I swing my shield, it also depletes. This is very important because you want to keep this up at all times. If I run out of stamina, I will not be able to swing my sword again until I get enough stamina to swing my sword. So this can be really bad because you can be in the middle of a battle fighting a guy, all epic, oh, and he's so close to dying, and then you run out of stamina because you weren't paying attention. You can't swing your sword. You can't block with your shield because if you have too little stamina, the damage will go through the shield and hurt you, and then you end up dying, and that is no fun. So definitely pay attention to the stamina bar. Another thing that is important is if you have your shield up, the stamina will regenerate much, much slower. So definitely be paying attention. And if you need some stamina real fast, run away and lower your shield so that you can start getting that stuff back because it's very, very important. So now, moving on to the bottom left, you can see 4 little windows here. We got one there, we got one there, we got one there, and we got one there. Now, if you are an observant person, you may notice that this is a sword, and it's on the right side, and that maps directly to the sword that is in my right hand. Similarly, the shield right here maps directly to the shield that is in my left hand. So, as you may have guessed, this is the right hand weapon slot and this is the left hand weapon slot. You can have swords and stuff like that in the left hand weapon slot, but most people just carry a shield, and that is what I recommend for beginners, is to always have a shield so you can block damage because you're a beginner and you haven't quite figured out what the heck's going on. Now, in the bottom slot, this is where you'll have consumable items. I'll show you later how to equip items to this spot, but for now, we'll just leave it at this is where you put consumable items. You can have items that heal you down here, and you can also have items that maybe recover your stamina or anything. There are tons and tons of different items in this game, so we'll explain those a little bit later, but for now you just need to know that's where consumable items go. Up here, this window, you don't even want to pay attention to this window. Just forget this one even existed because this is a beginner's guide, and I recommend people play as some sort of warrior sword type class and not really go with the magic, because it's a little more complicated and it's a little bit more difficult to figure out. Of course, you could go with it, but this is where those spells would end up, and this is how you'd cycle through the different spells. But again, because I don't recommend people go down this route at the very beginning when they're just figuring out this game, just ignore this window and forget it ever existed. Now you'll notice down on the bottom right, over here, what is this? There's all these numbers here. What are those numbers? Well, those numbers indicate the amount of souls you currently have. Now, souls are very, very important. Souls are everything in this game. They are your currency for not only buying items, but also leveling your character. So it's extremely important to have souls, and it's very important to know what number of souls you got down there. So anyways, that is pretty much what is immediately on screen right here. Just to sum things up, we got the health bar right there, we got the stamina bar right here, we got the right hand weapon, we got the thing that you're not supposed to pay attention to, we have the consumable items, and we have the left hand weapon, and then of course the soul number down here. Now, moving on to the other menus. Now, if you press back, you'll get this crazy menu right here. This is some menu you don't need to pay attention to right now. It's not important, it's not very confusing, but we won't get into this. So if you press back on accident, press back again and get the heck out of there. Just press start. That's all you need. And really all you need in this start menu is just these guys right here, these first two. You don't need this one, you don't need that one, you don't need that one, you don't need any other ones that are in here, you don't need any of that. It's just these two. Keep it nice and simple. That's all we need. Now, the very first one is the inventory screen. This is the one we'll go to. Now, this already maybe looks a little crazy to some people. There's a lot of stuff going on in this screen, but it's pretty simple once you know how to look at it. So starting off right here at the top in this box right here, we have the different categories of items in your inventory. So the very first one that we're selected on right now is the consumable items. So we can click that right there and we'll go down to the items. You can see all of these different ones. The Estus Flask, the Life Gem, all of this different stuff. And you can equip that stuff to your consumable item spot, and that is where that stuff will go. Then if you press B, you can get back up to this top bar and you can change categories. This one right here that we're looking at right now is your weapons category. So you can see all of the different weapons I have. I know binoculars are not a very effective weapon, but for some reason it still shows up here. Then you move on to here. This is where your bows are. This is where your magic stuff is. This is where your shields are. This is where your head armor is. This is where your body armor is. This is where the armor is for your hands, your feet, and then all of the different rings that you can have. Then we have the different spells you can learn, we have the different arrow types you can have, and we have some of the crafting materials, we have different keys, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple once you get to know it. You won't have this much stuff when you first start the game, so don't worry. Just try going in here, navigate through this stuff, and then press on an item. If you don't know what an item is, or you don't know what anything is at any point at looking at any of this stuff, a very helpful button to press is the back button. I know I said not to press back earlier, but that was when we weren't in any of these menus. When we're in these menus here, the back button brings up the help bar, and that allows you to look at some of these different stats, and it gives you a little short description of what stuff does. It's not super important for a lot of these different stats to really know what they do, but basically the most important one for certain things is like the attack power or the amount it blocks. And you don't really have to pay attention to these numbers because in Dark Souls 2 they've actually gave us a very handy system, and that is the sorting system. If you press Y, you can switch how the weapon is sorted, or how anything is sorted. Uh-oh, we got some little server maintenance here. Looks like just don't pay attention to that. So you can see we got like attack and all that stuff. This is really the one you want for weapons. You want the attack. So you press sort by attack, and it was actually reversed. I was already sorting by attack, it looks like. So sort by attack again, and this is the most powerful weapon I have. It does the most damage. If you really want to know, the attack is down here in this bottom corner here. So you can see it's slowly going down as I scroll through these because I have it sorted by attack. And then you can do similar things. Whoops. Apologies for that right there. Then you can do similar things with the armor. You can sort by the amount of defense it has, and you can see that the defense stat, which is located right here in the same position, goes up as we go over to the side. And then you can do the same thing with all of these different items and all of that stuff, and sort it in certain ways. So just a really quick, easy way to get the items you actually want, the stuff that has the most blocking power and the stuff that does the most damage. Then that is the inventory screen. Now the equipment screen isn't too much more complicated than what we just looked at. This right here at the top, this top bar shows your right weapon. Oh, sorry, I accidentally did a little bigger of a box than I should have there. This top bar right here shows your right hand weapon. As you can see, there's quite a few slots here, and that's because you can actually equip multiple weapons and cycle through them. So I can pick this guy right here, and I can pick this guy right here, and I can have all of these different weapons. Actually, that's an important thing to know. If you get something, a message like this that says you will not be able to use this weapon effectively, that means you do not have the stats, whether it's the strength, whether it's the dexterity, we'll get into some of that stuff later, to use this weapon. So if you get that, even if it does do more damage, you do not want to use it, because if you notice right here we have this negative 46, and this negative 46 means that I lose 46 damage for not having the proper stats, which is really bad. And I know all of this over here, this whole window, is very confusing. There's a lot of stuff going on right here, but as long as you know from this inventory menu up here that the weapon you want that had the most damage or whatever it may be, like the picture of that weapon, as long as you know what that is, you don't really have to pay attention to this stuff at all. This stuff's for more advanced people where they know what all these things do. I don't even know what all this stuff is, so just forget about it. Just pick the one that does the most damage, or the one you like, swings the best, because different weapons have different types of behaviors, and pick that stuff. Then moving down here, we have sort of our secondary weapon, our left weapon, and this is where you can put your shield and all that stuff, and again, you can equip multiple ones just like you could with the first weapon slot. Then down here is where we have our armor, not too complicated. And then down here we have the place where you can equip your consumable items. So this is where I would be like, hey, I want this Estus flask, and Estus flasks heal. And I can again also have many different ones selected, so I can have this life gem, and life gems are also a thing that heals. Now you may also notice this down here, right in the middle of the screen. This is the timer on your torch. Torches don't really matter, so this is again something we can not pay attention to. Then you'll also notice this right here. This is for bows. We don't really use bows in this beginner stuff, so we're just not going to pay attention to that there either. Then you'll notice the last one here, this little box, and this is where you equip your rings. Now, if you followed what I recommended in the previous video for the character creator, you'll know that you'll have a life ring. Now, I actually have found another one through my journey so far in Dark Souls 2, so I have two of them, but you're only going to start out with one if you picked the gift that I recommended you pick and the same one I picked. So you can equip that there. That is nothing you can sort of cycle through. Same with these armors. You can't cycle through these mid-battle. You'll notice there's not multiple slots for them. That's only for the weapons and for the sort of equipable weapon items. It's only for that stuff. Nothing for the armors or for the rings. So you can equip that there like that. It's not active or anything. You don't have to activate it. It's just something that's always going to give you more health, and that is how you navigate the equipment. And again, all these other menus, don't pay attention to them. You don't need to know what they are. All you need to know is just these two guys right there. And now you'll see that I have equipped something down here in this window. Before, this was blank, and you can see it's the Estus flask. This is the same thing that I just equipped in my inventory. So I can press down and I can switch between the life gem, which I equipped earlier, and the Estus flask. And that is how you navigate some of the menus. Those are the menus, really all the menus you need. You could probably get through the entire game without looking at any of the other menus. That's all you need to know just as a beginner in the game. And yeah, so that'll be it for this one. If you like the video, you can leave a like or a comment, or you can subscribe. I do normally post Halo videos, but I might post a little more Dark Souls 2 after this whole little series is over. So anyways, that'll be it for this one. See you guys later. Bye.